And welcome back to One World, to Guerrilla Cricket South Africa on One World Sports Radio's coverage of the second test between South Africa and Sri Lanka, the New Year's test, the first day of cricket in South Africa for 2021. The first session was all South Africa, or actually, let me be more specific, all Vian Mulder. He came on and took 3 wickets for 1 run, and Sri Lanka find themselves 84 for 5. And the players are out on the field now. As I introduce Chris Tyndale, we're going to be joined by Ravi shortly. And we're ready to take you through the first hour after lunch. Dasun Shanaka is the batsman joining. That is Nirishan Dikwela. And he's right. We've seen 4 left-handed batsmen in the Sri Lanka side, Chris. Now we're going to get another left-handed batsman, which is going to be very interesting. That's the 5th one. That's Nirishan Dikwela.
Yeah, Dikwela left-handed, but Shanaka we do have as a right-handed batsman. So a bit of variation, I guess.
Yeah, Vian Mulder will resume this session after he's taken 3 for 1. He's got 4 slips and a leg slip as he bowls to Dikwela, gets the edge, goes past the fielder at 4th slip, rolling all the way down to the boundary for 4. Score goes up to 89 for 5.
And now his figures are a mess. 3 for 1 looked so good. Now letting it slip a bit down to 3 for 5. Time to take it.
Yes. And remember, you can tweet into us on at Guerrilla SA. We are live on Facebook on the One World Sports Radio Facebook page. We're live on the One World Sports Radio YouTube page, and also the Guerrilla Cricket SA Periscope page, which comes through to Twitter. So please do tweet in to us there and let us know what you're thinking. Next ball of Vian's over. Goes through to the keeper for no run. Ravi, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, I should say, gentlemen. It's extremely hot here in Cape Town. I'm sure Chris can attest to that.
Quite true. And now I also have to have all my windows closed because I'm on a main road and it'll be too noisy otherwise. So no breeze for me.
Next ball from Vian Mulder, just played out by Dikwela back to the bowler. Vian is bowling right arm over the wicket to the left-handed batsman. What do you think of the first session, Ravi?
Incredible stuff. At one point I thought, the Sri Lankan openers, or I should say batsmen number 1 and 3 were going to run away with it. And it seemed that our bowlers were quite resilient, especially Vian Mulder. I'm glad to have seen him come on, and he seemed to have paid, his selection seems to pay dividends already. 84 for 5.
Yeah, next ball from Vian Mulder and played out to the that is the mid-off boundary for 2 runs. It was picked up by Keshav Maharaj. The score goes up to 91 for 5. That was the 4th ball of the 24th over. Ravi, I think you might be slightly behind us. But do let us know.
Yeah, 100%. This is how it is.
And we won't be able to sync up.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll just carry on. Ravi, if you can, I'd be very grateful if you just watch the tweets for us. Yes. Mulder in to Shanaka, who plays this one outside the off stump with a flick shot to deep mid-wicket. Lutus Apamla chasing that ball, and it will result in 2 runs from the Sri Lankans. Dasun Shanaka is an all-rounder, batting all-rounder for the Sri Lankans. After this, you've got Hasaranga coming in, who scored a handy 50 in the second innings. And then it's Vishwa Fernando, Dushmanta Chamera, and Asita Fernando. So South Africa would want to make some early inroads, get themselves batting again, and setting a very strong target. Mulder for his last ball of the over to 3 slips to Shanaka, who lets this one go through to the keeper to end that over. 93 for 5. Mulder started the session 3 for 1. Now he's 3 for 10. Any tweets?
Someone I didn't see.
Yes, Chris.
I was just going to say, as someone who didn't see much of his first spell, has he done anything differently in this over than he was earlier, that he's suddenly been a bit more expensive, or is it just...
I think he's slightly a little bit too fuller. In the morning he hit that good length very well, and he hit it on the mark. These past few balls were very full and easy to drive and be punched down the ground by Niroshan Dikwela, who is probably the last of the recognized batsmen.
Yeah, Shanaka, an all-rounder.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe more of a bowling all-rounder, if anything.
Yeah, so Anuf Nokia is resuming at the that looks like it's the golf course end, and he bowls his first ball back of a length, defended out to the offside, no run. So yes, it is the golf course. No, it actually is the caller drive end. I beg your pardon. 3 slips, a gully, a backward point in the ring for Niroshan Dikwela. And this one, he drives at that one and he misses it entirely. And Niroshan Dikwela shaking his head there. Not a shot that he'd be liking to play right now after his team are 5 down for just under 100.
Yes, and we have some tweets here. First off, from the David Mitchley, tweeting the 3 of us actually. Are the power team on... We happen to be the power team on 1WSR.com. I don't know if I would agree with that. Seriously knowledgeable crew on the mic right now. Don't forget to tell us your thoughts. Tweeting at Gorilla SA at 1WorldWSR using the hashtag SA versus SL.
Next ball defended out to the leg side. No run there. Just hit him high on the bat from Anuf Nokia. Ravi, did you manage to watch a bit of the first session?
I did indeed, and I must say that, like I was saying, that I felt that Kusal Pereira, I thought they were running away with it at one point, and it was funny because I was a bit concerned when I saw Lungi go off the pitch. I think Chris was covering at the time, and it was mentioned that after 3 overs, Lungi was going off the pitch and off the field, I should say, and it was a bit concerning. I thought, Sri Lanka were going to look at it as a bit of an advantage and seize the moment, as it were. But it seemed that that attacking style has sort of backfired.
Yeah, next ball just dying outside the off stump of Dikwela there. The ball just hitting some sort of a length, a hint of an even bounce on this day 1 pitch. And yeah, for slightly back of a length, just outside the left-hander's off stump, the ball just died away. It seems like there might be a soft spot on this pitch. Nokia in again for his 5th over. This 5th ball of this over, it's edged and caught by Quinton de Kock, diving keeper style to his right with 2 hands there, and he gets it in South Africa for the first breakthrough.
Wow, yeah, good to be right back into the wickets after lunch. And I also get to prepare myself because you're obviously a couple of seconds ahead of me. So suddenly I'm ready to see the wickets. And then
where are you, Chris? Where are you? Are you on the 25th point? Are you on the 4th ball?
I've just seen the wicket already. It is legitimately only a couple of seconds. Like, Nokia was running.
Cool.
And Paul called the wicket.
I'm just going to get the door quickly, guys. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. I'm just going to get the door. Sorry, apologies.
Sure. No problem. What a wicket was that? Was Chris, a very good start for the Proteas, just giving Niroshan Dikwela a little bit of width there, and he just threw everything at it and just got the edge. Good bowling from Nokia, the one fuller ball that we've been asking for, getting the wicket. So yeah, so it's a good start for the South Africans, 93 for 6. Let me give you Dikwela's answer. His scorecard. Niroshan Dikwela caught de Kock, bowled Nokia for 7 off 10 balls. He hit 1-4 in his stay, and the fuller one doing the job for Anuf Nokia.
All catches so far, every wicket. We've seen 2 catches from de Kock, 2 from Van der Dussen, 1 from Markram, and 1 from Faf. Lots of catches.
Essentially, that's what you would want to get at the Wanderers with all the bounce going around and the movement in the first day. The pitch is offering something for the bowlers, and so if you can get it in that right area, you will bring the slips into business and the wicketkeeper. So good to see that South Africa adjusting their lines, especially Nokia, because in the first session, especially when we were on commentary, Chris, he was very short. And I think
his shorter ones. Yeah, his fuller deliveries for whatever reason didn't look especially threatening either. Whereas that one, he was still able to get the most of the movement. It wasn't just a full ball that did nothing and the batsman could negotiate. It did both, full and moved.
Yes, Nokia in to Wanindu Hasaranga this time, who starts with a full one and he drives that, just all timing the beautifully square drive to the point boundary. Nokia searching for that perfect ball and straying, giving Hasaranga that half volley.
Yeah, not the best ball to follow it up with the wicket up with, and Hasaranga will suddenly feel a lot more comfortable being able to get off the mark that quickly.
Dave on tweet saying, that is the end of Nirishan de Quella. Another one bites the dust. Q de Kock takes the catch off Nokia's bowling. Hashtag he will not be censored. And if you're listening to us, please do follow us on our different platforms. As Wiaan Mulder starts his the next over, the 27th over of this innings. First ball is Shanaka, who just dots it down onto the leg side and then go for a quick single. And the total goes from moves up to 98 for 6.
So we've seen aggressive batting been the most effective so far today. And I guess from the limited amount we've seen from these two, it's been reasonably aggressive and punishing the bad balls and also showing that they're willing to rotate the strike, which is probably how the Sri Lankans need to approach this, because Karunaratne, as well as he batted, faced a lot of deliveries and only got 2 runs in return compared to Pereira, who's a bit looser and was scoring pretty freely.
Chris, we have a question here from Dave, who's at the stadium. He's asking, what is South Africa's most fruitful bowling pair in tests? Wiaan Mulder in with 3 slips. This one, a little bit of shape outside the right-hander, but too wide for Hasaranga to play at. No run.
I'll look it up again, but I feel like it's Pollock and Tini. I'll try to have a look.
Quinton de Kock in his 49th matches for South Africa has taken 197 catches, 11 stumpings, a total of 208 dismissals in his career. Very good wicketkeeper for South Africa, a real gem that South Africa has in him. Next ball just played out to the offside, defended on the front foot by Hasaranga. South Africa would feel that the next wicket here brings in the bowlers, and they then have then the advantage essentially will be resting with them. I think Dave had a stat that Crick Viz already had South Africa 93% to win the match after the first session. It's still early, but
yeah, I think that's also based on the historical strength of the sides against each other, sort of at home and away. So it's not like the game would have started 50-50. It would have started with South Africa with a strong advantage as well.
Yes, Chris, I think you're going a little bit faint here and there. I think if you've got headsets, please try and put them in.
No, I do. It's in my ear.
Okay, you've got Bluetooth headsets. Okay. So we'll just have to work with those. That was a little bit much better. But next ball was played out to the leg side, straight to ball from Wiaan Mulder, and the Sri Lankans take 2 runs, and their total now goes up to 100. For 6, 3 slips, a gully, a man at point, and extra cover. This one straighter by Wiaan Mulder and dispatched really nicely. Leg stump, half volley, played very nicely by Hasaranga for 4 runs.
Yeah, good confident batting. I was looking it up now. I haven't got a full list, but it's a sneaky answer. I think the most successful bowling pair for South Africa is Pollock and Cullis, just because I think the careers overlapped so well that almost all the wickets that Pollock took, Cullis was also playing in that game.
Yeah. Also, the bowling pair is not actually tandem from end to end. It's in the same test. Is it like in the same test? Or
yeah, I don't think that you'd be able to find stats where it's just bowling on opposite ends rather than
And
bowling at the same time.
Hasaranga is taking a liking to Vian Mulder. He bowls one slightly wider now, and this one Hasaranga has enough room to free his arms and hit that over the inner ring there. There's a fielder there at backward point. It went over his head down to the boundary for 4.
And Sunday 11 runs in the innings. Mulder, it looks very different to what he was able to do before lunch. 3 for 1. Whereas figures at the start of lunch, and suddenly he's
And now they're 3 for 21.
Yeah.
Yes. End of that over Sri Lanka, 108 for 6. Sri Lanka struggling to find partnerships today, especially after that second wicket partnership that worked well with Pereira and Tiramani. First ball of Nortje's 10th over outside the off stump, drawing Shanaka in. It was a good length outside the off stump, and Shanaka just provided him with just a limp bat out there, just trying to waft and try see if there is something that he could get onto it to find the timing. And it went straight to Quinton de Kock for no run.
Yeah, this is already the third highest partnership after that 19-run partnership, opening partnership, and the 52-run first or second wicket partnership.
Straight to ball Yorker length, defended very nicely by Shanaka. That was the surprise ball of the over and dealt very well by the Sri Lankan. No run.
And I didn't get to see any of the debutants either. Monica in his innings. How did he look? In the 10 deliveries that he faced.
Banuka, loose shot. He chased a wide one, got an edge there. It was a first slip, and so his innings was very short. Driven now, Anut Nokia is honing in on the stumps of Shanaka, who drives it straight back to the bowler, and some sort of fury, but good bowling and good batting there. Great drive to prevent himself from being castled. And great fielding off his own bowling by Nokia. So always get worried when fast bowlers go down to field their own balls.
Yeah. Especially, South Africa's history with fast bowling injuries, but also this series, how many injuries we've seen just in general. Lots of players coming back to cricket for the first time in a while.
Nokia with 3 slips with a 139-kilometer ball that goes outside the off stump with Shanaka shoulder and arms there for another dot ball.
I guess, that's the other thing that we have to hope for in this match is to not see any more injuries from either side.
Yes, and that's something that we are hoping for, because you want a fair contest. I think Sri Lanka were down to about 6 players on the one day and 8 on the final day, which isn't good enough. But they did come out to bat. They fronted up for their national team. They showed a lot of character, which is something that they will need. I just feel as though this series might have really hurt their chances against England at the end of this month.
But that's at home, and so I guess that's the slight advantage that they do have. But that'll still definitely be a challenge.
Yeah, that penultimate ball was just played out to mid-wicket for no run, and Nokia in with 3 slips. Edge taken, and it bounces just in front of the second slip. That is Faf, who tried to stop the ball. I think he may have jammed some fingers into the turf, but that is helped the Sri Lankans take a single off of that ball. And the end of that over, 109 for 6 after 28 overs.
And Hasaranga batting as if it's a T20, 14 off 6, just a rapid innings from him so far.
Tsepo on Twitter saying, loving the Nokia Mulder partnership here. Express pace one end, dangerous movement on the other. And then he tweets again, Hasaranga taking inspiration from Pereira. Very positive high strike rate. Could it work against him? Do you think his positive intent could work against him, Chris?
I was talking about how I'm supporting the positive intent. I'm not going to go back on it now. I think that has been the way to bat so far. Get your runs before that delivery that has your name on it gets you out. Pereira probably had the best approach of anyone we've seen so far. I mean, you don't need to go 14 off 6, but that sort of sort of 80 to 100 strike rate seems to be pretty effective.
Yes, and first ball of Mulder's sixth over, lovely shape into the right hander and straightening to Hasaranga. Very beautiful ball to be bowled. It's actually Shanaka who's at the striker's end. A wide one, and Shanaka tries to play that one and throw everything at it, but he misses it entirely and goes out to Quinton, no run.
Yeah, started wide and then also swung away from him.
Yeah, so this is probably the last recognized pair of batters for Sri Lanka, and so they'll be wanting to get as many runs as possible in the first innings, because obviously the moment you start, you have South Africa. If you get bowled out for cheaply here at the Wonders, it could be a very tough few days of cricket for you. Next ball in outside the off stump and let go to Quinton de Kock for no run.
Yeah, you're talking about last recognized batsman. It's almost, without wanting to be patronizing, almost 3 number 11s for Sri Lanka in Vishwa Fernando, Dushmanta Chamira, and Asita Fernando, who've all batted 11 in their time. I mean, Asita Fernando bats 11 domestically, and he's batting behind 2 guys who have batted 11 for Sri Lanka. This is an important partnership.
Yeah, 3 wicket, 3 slips, a gully, and the man at conventional point. Beautiful line in that fourth stump channel. And Shanaka doesn't move his feet. He just shoulders arms to that ball, and it goes out to Quinton Oran. Tweet here from Dave. I honestly believe that Nick Nack SA are missing out on sponsoring Faf du Plessis' mangled fingers and the copious amounts of tape that are holding them together.
But Faf doesn't eat knickknacks. You don't have a body like that eating knickknacks. They'd be wasting their sponsorship on it.
Yeah, I think that's the only issue with sponsoring Faf looking the way he does. Next ball slightly wide outside the off stump, no run. You can see that Mulder is landing the ball on the seam, the ball shaping away, shapes into the right hander, and it seems away from once it hits the deck. So very good bowling from the man who is bowling in his home ground, and he's done incredibly well. Sapamla is also a Lions player. This is his home ground, but he's only played 1 match at the Wanderers for the Lions, so he might need a little bit getting used to the conditions at the ball ring. Straighter ball coming off the pad. It was going down leg, so there was the slips had a bit of a clearing of the throats there in terms of a choir. But nothing to worry the Sri Lankans about. End of the 29th over, 109 for 6.
And I made it, so more positive from Mulder there compared to his previous 2, although he did bowl all 6 deliveries to Shanaka, who hasn't been quite as aggressive so far.
No, he hasn't, and Shanaka has, even in the first test, was very cautious with his batting. Whereas I think the partner at the other end was always looking for a boundary. That 52 that he played in the second innings, with a little bit of a niggle, was some very good counter punching cricket late on in that test, even though the match was already done quite early in that day. Nokia resuming the 30th over. There's a ball that jags back into the right-handed Hasaranga off a shortish length, 142 kilometers per hour, no run.
I hope Ravi's all right after letting someone in.
Yeah, and yeah, he's gone he's been gone for a while, but we can carry it together, Chris. As we do this, Hasaranga on 14 from 7 balls, Shanaka 4 from 15, Nokia 3 for 38, 1 ball into his 11th over, 3 slips, a gully, and the backward point has now gone to the boundary as this ball cuts Hasaranga not necessarily in half, but it jags back into him and hits him high on the pad. No LBW shots there from the South Africans due to height, but some good restrictive bowling from Nokia to try and not give Hasaranga any room, because we've seen what he can do when you give him a little bit of width.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 59 in the last game. Okay.
Similar field to Kusal Pereira with that fly backward point there, who's not on the boundary or not in the ring. He's just sitting there in no man's land per se for the cut shot. As the next ball is a fuller one, and Hasaranga just plays that out to the offside for a single. That backward point moving out enables Hasaranga to be able to take that single quite easily. 110 for 6.
It's definitely a fielding position that made a lot of sense for Pereira, who was playing a lot of sort of lofted cuts into the offside. And I suppose I think Hasaranga is going to be doing a fair bit of the same. Although it looks like it's still there for Shanaka as well.
Yes, that's also quite interesting. Could we be seeing a bumper from Anrich Nokia? This one's a lot fuller.
That's always a safe bet.
Fuller and straighter, and played out to the fielder at a silly-ish mid-wicket for no run. 110 for 6. And yes, so obviously to all our fans who are joining us for the first time, we are Guerrilla Cricket South Africa, and we are live on One World Sports Radio. So you can listen to radio, audio only at 1WSR.com. This one outside the off stump gets the edge. It was a wild swing from Shanaka. It was very quick at 141 kilometers per hour. Well, it looked quicker to our eyes than what the speed gun says. Shanaka says it's a Temba Bavuma. Nick, you didn't hear anything, but he's gone up for decision review. The umpire's soft signal is out. Quinton de Kock with a lovely take behind the stumps.
Yeah, it wasn't even an appeal from Quinton de Kock. It's just sort of a celebration. The South Africans look pretty convinced that it was out, but we'll have to have a look.
As we see that ball, that's going to be very tight. It's probably, if there was an edge, it was a feather of an edge. The good thing about this, as we look at Ultra Edge, yes, there is that little spike, that heartbeat on Ultra Edge that we're looking for. A feather of an edge nonetheless. And the South Africans have their 7th wicket. We will just wait for the umpire, Maria Rasmus, to confirm that. And it is the 7th wicket down for Sri Lanka after 110 runs.
Yeah, very faint edge. I mean, if you didn't have the spike, you wouldn't be able to tell. It looked like he could have missed it, but definitely some protect on it as it went fast.
And to a certain extent, it could be another noise. And I think for Shanaka, I think for his thing was that obviously he's the last of his wicket opens up the tail. And so you want to use up a review, even though you have 3. Because anything could happen, but for him, it was all she wrote because there was daylight between bat and pad, and there was nothing else that could have, that could have gone if there was a noise. So I think
it was a very clear spike at exactly the right time, exactly as the ball was passing the bat.
And Dave, our man at the stadium, saying out as the DRS of Sri Lankans lose another. Nokia has his 4th. Shanaka gone for 4, as de Kock has a simple take behind the stumps. That brings in, we'll just get you who the next batter is. As you said, Chris, they've got 3 number 11. So which one of the number 11s are they going to choose to come out here? And it is Asita Fernando on debut, age 23, having played 37 first-class matches and batted 48 innings. His average is 4.81 and has a best score of 30.
I was about to say, because I was looking through some of his old games, and he does bat 11 for his domestic side in the Premier League first-class competition in Sri Lanka.
Oh, Ravi is back. Ravi, you come back just after the wicket? Oh, no, sorry
guys.
Just hold on. Let me just correct. Supersport has now updated to let us know that it's Dushmanta Chamera who gets a bumper from Nokia, and he ducks underneath it. It's not Asita Fernando, and Dushmanta got a nice little introduction into international cricket there.
SABC also have it as Fernandez, Asita Fernandez. So throwing a few of the scorers off there.
All right. Yes. So are we sitting at 110 for 7? Yeah, I heard my neighbors jumping up and down, so I knew something good was happening. And apologies, guys, there was a bit of a comedy of errors, to be precise. my gate wouldn't open, and unfortunately my wife was stuck outside, so I had to do husbandly duties to let him in.
Okay, that's good. That's something
We should have
that
come first. Couldn't you have told her or asked her just to wait until 22? Some
Yeah,
Vian Mulder resuming the first the first ball of the 31st over. That one was slightly wide and tailing away from the right hander, no run. Yeah, but after what happened last week, Ravi, I think you needed to let your wife through. You couldn't have made her wait outside.
So to give the audience some context, I was meant to take my wife out for frozen yogurt, but Faf du Plessis was on the verge of scoring his inaugural double century, and that, of course, never materialized. So, needless to say, there was a war of words that followed after that.
Wider ball from Vian Mulder, and it died as it got to the batsman, but Hasaranga played that very nicely out into the offside, and the Sri Lankans got 2 from that one.
And we have some tweets here, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Great stuff. So we got from Holly Jolly Jessica. Good evening, Gorilla SA from Australia. Big Bash done for the night, so I'm switching over to you now. Fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
And David,
it still seems like a T20 the way Hasaranga is going. So the excitement isn't going to go down anytime soon.
Well, he's one of their more successful batsmen, isn't he, at the moment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next ball, Hasaranga played it back straight to Vian Mulder. It was a bit of a half volley. He played a straight bat to it, but Vian Mulder fielding off of his own bowling to prevent any runs.
I'm curious as to what the miscommunication was in the scorer's box, because SABC SuperSport and ESPN Cricket Info originally had this batsman as Fernando, and they've all since changed it to Chimera in their score.
And Vian Mulder giving Hasaranga a little bit more width again, and he slaps that out to the fielder at the point boundary for a single. Chimera will face his first ball to Vian Mulder, and Hasaranga is going to give Chimera a little bit of some choice words to help him to help him navigate Vian Mulder's over.
So we've got another tweet here from David Midgley, addressed at myself specifically, indicating failgate in reference to my electronic gate debacle short while ago.
Just gate.
Gate, pretty much.
Yeah.
This one, 2 straight there from Vian Mulder, and Chimera gets off the strike very easily there. The South Africans will be disappointed with that. And the single has been taken off that ball, 114 for 7.
Yeah, some great stuff here from the Proteas. I think there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be batting later today.
Guys, I saw something on Twitter. The toss at the BBL is not a coin toss; it's a bat flip. What do you guys think about that?
They've done that for a few years, but it is modified bats. It is sort of.
We did that in South Africa.
So white ball to end that over. Hasaranga tried to play at that. He missed it entirely. And Chimera has the prospect of facing 6 balls to Heinrich Nortje. I'm not a fan of the bat flip because there surely is one winner.
But no, it's a modified bat so that both sides are flat. It's not like a rivers and bat.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's we used to do that in some club cricket games as well.
Yeah.
We would say mountains being the back of the blade and the flat.
Yeah. But they modified it so it's a fair 50-50 chance rather than you've been able to call mountains and be right a little bit.
Ravi, that tweet from Dave talking about failgate, it's actually Vuligate. Yes.
Vuligate. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Nokia with 3 slips to Chimera. First ball, Chimera on the back foot, just defending that outside the off stump for no run. You can see the SuperSport commentators are fascinated by the golf game that's happening at the Wanderers right now on this first Sunday of 2020.
Very close together feet from that man.
So golf is still allowed, right? In light of the lockdown.
Or they'll be forwarding this footage straight to the police. But I think it's allowed.
Oh, Nokia with the ball, dragging back inside, missing everything. Missed the bat, missed the stumps, but really great shape in to Dushmanta Chamera. He knew nothing about that. But luckily for him, he's still at the crease.
Yeah, prodigious movement there from Nokia. Big in swing and then seemed to seam in even more, just over the top of the wickets in the end. But Chamera has 4 more deliveries of that.
We have another tweet here from Josie Oak, formerly known as Durban Oak, I believe. He says, at Gorilla SA, afternoon clouds are building, so there may be some rain later today. That's the last thing we need at the moment.
Short ball from Anrich Nokia there, ducked underneath it was a Chimera. He got a very nice rip snorter there. He ducked into it.
He didn't have much idea. Eh?
Yeah, he ducked,
but it went under his grill. He really misjudged it.
Yeah, he thought it was coming higher, and just a massive misjudge could have resulted in some injury there. But good bowling from the South African. Nokia in another inside, another one jagging back. Beautiful ball.
Oh.
That's the type of ball that gets out top order batsmen. I'm not too sure if Chimera has enough to get any bat onto that, let alone on the inside.
And we have another tweet here from David Midgley, and that was about 10 minutes ago. Out as the DRS of Sri Lankans lose another. Nokia has his 4th Shanaka. Gone for 4 as de Kock has a simple take behind the stumps.
Yes, yes, that was for that 7th wicket. Nokia again edged and through the gap between third slip and gully, down to the boundary for 4.
Yeah, unfortunately, his balls for the last 4 deliveries have been very similar to one another. All of them look very threatening, and no rewards. And in the end, he's conceded.
But Arnav Nokia looks very dangerous and very determined to take this fifer, and he kind of knows that possibly on the other end, his biggest opponent to getting the fifer might get a few more at Chimera there. So he'd want to come out in this last ball of his over. Down the leg side, there was a back pad there, but that one goes straight to the fielder at fine leg for a single. Timbers now underneath the helmet. Last test it was Aiden Markram. It looks like the captaincy candidates are doing their duties underneath the helmet.
And also, just 2 of the best close-up fielders. I've seen both of them take some amazing catches in that position in their day.
Yeah, but you don't want to be a great fielder underneath the helmet. I'm sorry.
Unless you can be good enough that it's one of the things that keeps you in the side when you're not batting well. Then add it to your repertoire.
We have another tweet here from David Midgley. To Woi Pom, welcome. Are the Lankans doomed yet? Woi Pom is, of course, Josie Oak. And he says, yeah, welcome. Are the Lankans doomed as yet? Addressing us as well. I think the writing is pretty much on the wall unless South Africa cocks up with the bat.
Yeah, you always need a win for both sides of the bat. The same way so many people were saying, oh, Sri Lanka scored 400 against South Africa. Are we going to lose to them again?
Lungingidi starting his new spell, and he's got 4 slips, but this time it was too short. Played off the back foot by Chimera. Lovely punch there. Good timing. Past the fielder. Add extra cover. That was Sapamla down to the boundary for 4. Very loose delivery from Lungingidi there. And yeah, just
he's been bowling all sorts today, Paul. I mean, what's your general thoughts on him at the moment?
Not all sorts. His first 3 overs were impeccable. He didn't go for any runs.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant.
Then he went off and then came back for the next 4. And then I think he came in obviously at the back end of that Kusal Pereira 50 runs, and so he also wasn't spared the rod as much as you could say.
Fair enough. I would agree with you. I think there was a concern that he was also only cranking it up at about 129, 130 at
Why are
most.
South Africans so worried about pace? If he's accurate and he's taking wickets, what's the
Yeah,
problem with
it's just
He's-
such
with
a
pace?
measurable metric that you love to see. They don't tell us very often how much swing
Hmm.
or movement there is, but cold hard numbers we love to see. I think the Australians are similar. I think
And
even
Yeah.
if the ball's nowhere near the wickets, you want them to be bowling 140 and 150.
So
And
looking
we
for
have
his third
we have
ball in this one played off the back foot. The previous ball got a leaning edge out to the offside, no run. So 2 dots following that 4. Yes, Ravi.
Sorry, we have some more tweets here. Some shots fired, I should say, from Holly Jolly Jessica in Australia. To be fair, Sri Lanka are doing better than that India innings at Gorilla SA. I think it's the one that Indian fans wouldn't regularly talk about.
Oh, the
And
old
of
gold
course,
Yeah,
tomato one.
there we go. The
as we
whole
see
goal
some
tomato one.
lovebirds, we see some lovebirds in the stands. I know it's not supporters, but literal lovebirds hanging out in the stands. Very cute little birds that you get your visuals of.
Lungi to Chamera, who throws everything at that wide and short ball, and it goes over the slip cordon to the boundary for 4. Just a very wayward bowling so far from Lungi Ngidi. He's not bowling as well as he was bowling in that first in that first spell, where he was bowling it very full.
I'd like to
Making
see. I'd like to see a replay of this to see if Keshav Maharaj did that slide as a joke. Because he did a little fielding slide when he was a good 10 meters away from the ball. And I think he must have been doing that as a joke for his teammates. He was nowhere near it.
No, yes, he was nowhere near that. It was a really well hit ball by Dushmanta Chamera. And Ngiti again with the 4 slips. And this time, this ball strays down the leg side very fine to the boundary. Back-to-back 4s for Dushmanta, who takes his total to 18 of 13 balls. Hasaranga's 18 of 14. They are just making South Africa, the South African bowlers are struggling here to find their lengths, which is really disappointing.
Yeah, 21 run partnership now. Do you think it's complacency from the South Africans that suddenly we feel like we're on top of this and we're letting the tailenders get some runs that maybe they shouldn't?
Yeah.
So,
If you think they're
And also
90,
this obsession that South Africans feel that you need to bounce the tail enders out. Last
Right.
ball of the over, and we'll have a lovely chat. This one hitting high on the bat, another short ball played out to the bowler, no run. So that's the end of that over, 131 for 7. South Africa have this tendency when tail enders come in, where we all of a sudden want to give them a short ball barrage,
Yeah.
rather than keep the
I
same
don't know why
line
we-
lengths we bowled to the top order.
I don't know why we do that, to be honest with you. What happened to the old-fashioned Yorker straight in
although
the
it
middle?
works when you bounce them and then they lose half their bowlers for the next innings. So maybe that's the plan.
But they're already batting. They already struggled to find. It's like a club cricket game. We're struggling to find a full 11 at one point.
Yeah,
you know?
so-
Mickey Arthur made the joke himself that if they didn't have such a big squad, he'd be batting 3 in the next test and Grant Flower would be batting 4.
I think they do better with those two there, but that's just me. I was always afraid. I always admired Ground Flower. Nokia in to Hasaranga, who plays this lovely off the back foot. It was a shortish ball, and he got on his toes and played it really lovely out into the offside. Just for a single 132 for 7. Yeah, I honestly do think that I'm okay with the short ball plan. It just needs to come with a little bit more fuller length balls, because the whole point of bowling short balls is to keep everyone's feet not moving, and then you give them a fuller length one to test whether they can still play the ball play the ball without necessarily moving their feet and juicing their edge. So it's just baffling right now that South Africa are going against what they did so well in the first session.
So there's some more tweets here, guys. So we've got one here from Josie Oak once again. I think South Africa are well capable of making a mess of their batting too. I would have to agree with you there, Joe.
Next ball in rugby is a short ball down the body line. So Nokia's come around the wicket to Chamera, and he's got a leg slip, and that ball goes in between leg slip and the keeper. Quinton de Kock went down the leg side, and it goes down to the boundary for 4 runs. Really poor bowling from the South Africans now.
I don't understand that tactic. He's wasting his time there. I don't know why they would enforce like a body line tactic at this stage of the innings. But anyways.
Yes. Just like the South African people on social media, the South African cricket team is also quite impatient. Next ball out to the offside. The Sri Lankans take a quick single as the ball goes out to backward point where Mulder was slightly deep and a single was taken.
Right, so we have another tweet here from David Midgley at Gorilla SA, and this is a quote from an earlier tweet he sent to the Hadida Newlands. I wonder if Hadida Newlands is under pressure from the parakeet at the Bullring ZA for most beloved SA cricket bird.
So for Hasaranga, Nokia's come over the wicket this time, cramping him for room, no run there, just a ball played out to offside.
And we have another tweet here from David Midgley. With the lull in play, the media center is abuzz with all the lovebirds around at Bullrings today. We actually bird watching enthusiasts using the hashtag SA versus SR. Interesting one, and this is not directed at Gorilla SA. This is from Desiganar. He reckons Ngidi needs to get its discipline in check. He's been terrible so far. And I think we've addressed a bit of that a short while ago.
Yes, we have Nokia in as a fuller one onto middle stump, driven straight down the ground. It was a half volley, and Hasaranga doing all he can to help his team's cause with that ball straight down the ground for 4.
Fantastic shot.
And it does seem like the South Africans, even if it's not game-changing, are letting it slip. If you think Sri Lanka was 93 for 6, his last 2 partnerships have gone very quickly. And unnecessarily quickly, it does seem like the pressure's been taken off.
But this is where captaincy comes in. You need a senior player to call the bowlers in and kind of stop this rot, because there's a lot of complacency creeping in. Last ball of Nokia's over, down the leg side, and it is a quick run taken to mid-on. Ngidi was the fielder there. He took a shot at the stumps, he missed, and it's 142 for 7 at the end of that over. Just very disappointing bowling outside of the 2 wickets that the South Africans have gotten in this session. It's just been pretty poor from them, and you kind of need someone to rein them in and to bring them in, because they had 4 slips. All these bowlers started bowling with 4 slips. Their accuracy dipped, and that 4th slip was taken out as cover to come in on the leg side, which is something you don't want to see. But if your bowlers can't bowl to the plans that you set, it's going to be problematic.
You know, what's interesting is that I find that South Africa has been fairly poor bowling at the tail. If I reference the England Test series last year, and we look at the first innings of the Sri Lanka series as well, of the first test, I should say, we've been a little poor bowling at the tail. I think we've conceded 80 to 120 runs in some cases with the last 4 batters.
And right now we're on 32.
Right. And,
I mean, just from this partnership, the previous partnership was also about 20 runs.
It was 17, so it's around about 50.
So my stance is that if Sri Lanka takes it past 200, maybe the 220 mark, that's still a competing total. While it might not obviously be in the 300, which is where you want to be at the Wanderers, or 400 plus, 220 still gives Sri Lanka a bit of a fighting chance. So South Africa, the bowlers need to be very mindful that if the tail wags to that extent, they may be in a spot of bother.
Yes, first ball from Ngidi's over was a full one just outside off plate back. The next one slightly back of a length. Wanindu playing that off his toes and playing it into his pads for a dot ball there. Just a very good. First one was lovely. It was fuller, and this one was slightly shorter. So it's really good to see that Ngidi in these first two balls is a little bit more accurate rather than the wayward over that he bowled previously.
So Desigan R in response to me, because I've indicated that Ngidi bowled 3 maidens in a row. He says that line and length has been off throughout. So now he's just leaking runs. He looks badly out of rhythm. What is your stance on that?
Next ball was edged on the bounce to Aiden Markham with a flash outside the off stump from Hasaranga, and it's a dot ball. I think in his first 3 overs, he was bowling really lovely outside the off stump, majority to Karunaratne. We wanted him to make the batsman play a little bit more. But it was also another way to build up the pressure for Karunaratne because he went for 17 balls without necessarily getting a single. And so, look, I think in the second and third spell he has been quite wayward. But it's obviously it's just a session. It's not a full view of how someone has bowled. This next ball outside the off stump, catching the edge and beating the fielder diving inside at gully there for 4 runs. It just pierced that gully fielder, went past that gully fielder, and it raced away for 4. So some really good batting, soft hands from Wanindu there, showing us that he's got a very good set of batting skills.
Absolutely. Hasaranga flashing at it. But yeah, let's just see. Maybe he's got another 50 in him. I know there's
short
some
ball from Ngidi, and that's the problem about the Wanderers is when the bowlers can get away with these short balls that don't get punished. This one just had extra bounce and went down the leg side in a run, 146 for 7.
I know we don't want to go back to old tactics and we want to move forward with South Africa, but maybe we bring back a 1999 ball that hit sequence of the puck. Just connect him with the coaching staff for these end of inning spells.
Yeah, so that last ball went into Doctor underneath it and he left his bat out in the air. So that's something that he probably need to get work on a little bit more. Another short ball from Ngidi to end out that over. Short balls are the release balls for any bowler here at the Wanderers. If you can get it just above eye line and over, you can come out with a few dots. That's how that over ends. 146 for 7.
So has Hasaranga
36 runs now the partnership. It looks like at the rate that he's going, sitting on 28 at the moment, but hasn't looked. I mean, there was the one Nokia over that looked a little bit threatening, but for the most part, he hasn't looked too threatened either. It looks like he's scoring relatively easily.
Yeah. So a final 5 minutes of the first hour at the Wanderers after lunch, and then you'll be joined by Simon Gear, and I think I'll be coming off for this session. Sipamla in a 2, replacing Nokia into Chimera. This one getting lovely shape away from the right-handed swing, but it's too wide to engage the batsman, and it's just a dot ball.
How funny would it be if Hasaranga scores a century?
I wouldn't be laughing, I don't think.
Not that funny if you're a South African fan, I'm sure.
It wouldn't be. I think the team bus would be attacked on its way back to Irene if that happened.
Coach Mark will make them walk back to the hotel. I think he'll drive the bus away.
Sipamla outside the off stump, 6 stump line, and it's a fuller length ball. Timing is off from Chimera, and he can only get the ball just down to the ball in a run.
Yeah, hopefully Sipamla can do what he did in the first match and just wrap up the tail quite expertly. Show the more experienced players how it's done.
Look, Sepamla hasn't bowled that badly.
No.
I think it's just, and this is a problem across the entire South African bowling attack. Even the guys who took the wickets, it's just that you keep on giving them 4 balls in every over now, and that's why the numbers look so bad. Outside the off stump, wafted, no foot movement by Chimera, and this one goes to Quinton de Kock, no run. Sepamla would be a little bit disappointed that didn't get the edge there.
That's the man we need
Yes.
to target, boys. Chamira is our guy. No, not Hasaranga.
So you just want to leave Hasaranga stranded like he was in the last test?
Yeah, the Hasaranga.
You do want him to get his 50 now, so that you look like an oracle.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to be the Sachin Tendulkar of Sri Lanka after this.
4 slips, a gully, a backward point fielder at a backward square leg on the boundary, and Sepamla not bowling to his field. It's too wide. It started out wide and shaped away. Luckily, the umpire does not decide to go into scarecrow formation, and so that's another poor ball from the South Africans. Not doing much, just a dot ball outside the off stump, not engaging the batsman, not looking to make the batsman play. It's something that Charles Langeveld needs to work on with this team, and you could say that that needs to improve with this inexperienced bowling attack. The inexperience is showing itself right now in massive amounts. Sepamla in again outside the off stump. This one drawing the batsman towards the ball. And almost squaring him up. No edge there. It's still too wide for Chimera. And one more ball left in the 36th over.
So
I guess the issue is also...
sorry, go ahead. Go.
Oh? I was just going to say, I guess the issue is also that the seam attack is inexperienced across the board. It's not like there's some youngsters and some experienced players that can take them under their arm when the bowling does go a bit wayward and sort of get them back. It's all 4 of them are quite new to the side. There is no senior bowler really.
And that's where the inexperience comes in. Another ball outside the off stump to end that over. It's a maiden over from Sepamla. 7 for 20. 7 overs. He's bowled 0 for 25. 146 for 7. I think I am the one who's going to be stepping off of this stream. Bringing Simon in right now. So I will be with you guys in the next hour.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Mpho.
Thanks very much, Mpho. And I noticed my stream was exactly aligned to Mpho's. So I'm happy to carry on doing ball by ball if you guys are happy to do the tum-to-tums.
Cool.
Okay. Is one of you guys keeping an eye on tweets?
I'm doing
yeah, Ravi is.
Okay, excellent. So we'll let Ravi do tweets. I've got Chris Tuberculosis giving us colour as Ngidi comes in to start his 10th over, 0 for 41. It's a steepling bounce that is just defended well down into the pitch by Hasaranga. He's on 28 of 25, having had a bit of a flash, and his batting partner is...
It's Chimera.
It's Chimera, and he's on 18 of 27 or about, so we're around there.
Or 22, I think. Yeah, both of them batting very quickly.
Sri Lanka on 146 for 7.
I see Chris is showing his allegiances to England rugby at the moment.
I was wearing a South African cricket jersey at the beginning of the day, but I still turmeric all over it. So,
and I'm wearing a Springbok jersey at the moment, so I think our allegiances are very clear for those of you that are watching our YouTube stream at the moment.
I can take the shirt off.
That jersey that you're wearing, that's that blue and purple jersey that you've got on, Ravi. When did the Springboks wear that?
Well, it's actually their training jersey. I got this off at a yellow ticket sale at Sportsman's Warehouse. They're not a sponsor of us, folks, but I said, let me wear it so I could look like a Springbok when I'm attempting something at the gym.
Yeah, you're supposed to pretend that you're part of the practice squad. You're not supposed to tell us about the sale. You're just
A full ball, and there's a bit of an appeal by Lungi Ngidi. It was always going down leg, I think. And umpire Adrian Holstock just shakes his head and says, "Not out." And
it was
no
an
one's
amusingly
going to
late,
taking.
late appeal from Ngidi. It almost looked like an afterthought, but then he seemed quite sure in the afterthought.
Yeah, he definitely. It looked good, but was definitely. I mean, everyone knew it wasn't out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you need to act a lot better than that if you're going to get the umpire to even think about the appeal, I think.
So, Simon, being an umpire yourself, have you ever had a bowler come to your face and give a bit of an exaggerated appeal or two?
I've never had unpleasantness from the fielding side. I gave a guy out caught down the leg side the last game that I umpired before lockdown. And to be honest, I got it wrong. And he was properly furious, and I got an earful from him as the batsman. But it's bothered me all through lockdown because I haven't had a chance to umpire again and sort of put that moment right.
Right.
Actually, I lie. I've stood for a couple of internal women's games. The Gauteng squad needed umpires back in November, so I stood for a couple of those, and those are great fun. Ngidi in again, and just carbon copy of the balls he's been bowling, short of a length, defended off the back foot by Chamira, and no runs. Sri Lanka 147 for 7.
And Simon, as our umpiring expert, how tall is Adrian Holstock? He looks pretty tall.
I've never met Adrian Holstock. I mean, he's mentioned all the time in the meetings I go to because he and I are from the same union. He's a Gauteng boy, and was actually Gauteng's umpire of the year this year. And so to see him rewarded with a couple of tests is really, really special. As Ngidi comes in past Holstock, and this time is a bit straighter, turns it around square. It's going to be chased by Keshav Maharaj, who does the sliding stop, sends it in quite well, and Quinton de Kock tries to flick the ball onto the stumps, but I think the batsman would have been home well. 149 for 7.
And do you think you'd get more respect as an Sorry, you go.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't think Adrian is as tall as the former umpire, Stephen Buckner, from the West Indies. He was a pretty big man.
Was Buckner tall? I remember him not being short, but was he tall in the sort of fast bowler sense, or was he just tall for an umpire?
He was as tall as the West Indian bowlers, so I think that was a good indication right there.
Where were you going, Chris, with your question? Oh, but we're at drinks, by the way. So, yeah.
Oh, it's still on the umpire height thing. Do you think it helps as an umpire to be taller, just the extra respect? Or that if you're a 6'5" umpire, batsmen are probably slightly less likely to give you a little bit of attitude.
It sounds ridiculous, but one of the ways that umpires are judged, certainly within the South African context, is what they call you've got to have the whole package, and so they're very, very clear on the fact that you're expected to look fit, not obviously professional sportsman fit, but you're expected to look, at least, trim and healthy. You're expected to be clean shaven. You're expected to, stand bolt upright, and there's almost a military vibe to the sort of things that they look for. And Bongani Jele is the guy that they always say he's the guy who's got the package. He's got everything that CSA are currently looking for in an umpire. And so I'm absolutely sure we will see him progress further up the ranks. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not 100% sure how it works getting onto the ICC panel, whether that is a decision made by the ICC or whether I imagine it's probably South Africa putting forward 3 or 4 guys at any one time, and then the ICC make a selection. But
so there's no room for David Shepherd like umpires anymore.
Not anymore. Hey? Although that said, we look at I always want to call him Marius Herter. Who's the other umpire here today?
Murray Rasmus.
Murray Rasmus, there you go. So you look at Murray Rasmus. He's clearly of the old school in terms of shape and so on, but a very, very well-respected umpire.
And he was a good cricketer in his day as well.
Oh, really? Was he? When was he?
He played a lot of domestic cricket. I'll go find his stats again.
Oh, please do, because I've only ever known his name as an umpire. And
in the meantime, there's some there's some tweets. There's some tweets that have just come through. If you don't mind, Simon, I'll just go through them. We've got one from David Midgley, who's been very active online, and I'm sure he's going to get a stint on the box as well today. One of my favorite stats about England rugby is their 15-6 defeat at the Rugby World Cup in 2007 and 30-12 defeat at the Rugby World Cup in 2019 by the Springboks.
Do I need to make it clear that I don't actually support England? I just have the jersey.
You just have the jersey, yeah. There's nothing wrong with having this jersey. And we've got some more tweets that have just come through. David Midgley.
And looks like we've got a wicket. Luto Sapamla's into the wickets there. First ball back after the drinks break. He gets the outside edge of Hasaranga. And Maria Rasmus' fingers gone up.
I honestly thought we were still watching the highlights. They've been showing all the highlights of the wickets.
But it's been immediately reviewed,
it is
so we'll have a
live.
look at this. Yeah, because Sapamla hasn't taken any wickets so far, so it would be.
So lands on the seam, nibbles away. It certainly looked like he got a touch there, didn't it? And straight through to Quinton de Kock, a very, very bog standard regulation. There is a ultra edge spike on the outside edge of the bat, and that will be the end, I think, of is it De Silva who's
Hasaranga? It's Hasaranga. Yeah, who is De Silva? The same guy.
Yeah, Hasaranga. Sorry, that is the end of Hasaranga.
Mindu Hasaranga, to be precise.
Have you got the numbers there off Cricinfo, Chris, or shall I give them?
Yeah, I can do that. So I haven't got his out yet, but before he went, so it's 29 runs of 27 deliveries, a rapid and aggressive innings from him, which also included 5 boundaries, all of them 4s. Yeah, he carried on sort of the way Pereira left off earlier, that aggressive innings that kept the scorecard ticking, which seems to be the way to go so far in this game. The only people who have scored runs are the people who've scored runs quickly.
Yeah, so a good start after the break, and I'm pleased that Sapamla has got himself into the wickets. He's now 1 for 25. He does look like a guy who takes a little bit of a while to get going in the morning, doesn't he? Or at least on the first day of a test match.
Yeah, that's what we've witnessed so far. Yeah.
So one of the heroes of the previous series against Sri Lanka, Vishwa Fernando, comes to the crease now. Bowled incredibly well. When was it? Nearly 24 months ago, hey?
That's right.
Yeah. And, but comes to us with a best of 38 that he scored in 2020. So not often that people can claim that 2020 produced the best of something for them, but an average of just 6.7. Sri Lanka 149 for 8 at the moment. Sapamla in again. Oh, this one flies through to the slip cordon. It goes to Temba Bavuma. He prodded out at it a little bit, and Bavuma reacting like he dropped it. It flew very, very quickly.
I thought that had dropped short of him, but Bavuma does.
No, it went straight in. Yeah. What was happening is that he thought it was going to drop short, and he started his weight coming forward. And when you do that, your hands are quite hard, and as a result, they hit the heels of his hands and popped straight back out again. He just misjudged that completely. You know, if he had just held it,
he's normally
absolutely
one of the safest pairs of hands you'll see.
We don't often see him in the cordon though, and that cordon looks close.
That's true.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's that? 6 slips?
There was 6 slips. Six
slips in place at the moment.
I saw a tweet from March earlier, and they were saying that Dean Elgar is terrible in the slip cordon. I don't know how true that is.
No, that's not true.
Maybe it's just compared to the rest of them, because we've got some good slip fielders.
Yeah.
I mean, Faf's probably the best in the world. Aidan Markham's good there. Russie's good.
Yeah. And look, there's no such thing as an easy slip catch. I watched Taylor drop what should have been an absolute sitter this morning for New Zealand.
Oh, it looked like Temba dropped it, eh?
Yeah, no, he did drop it.
He dropped it.
Yeah, sorry, no, it was definitely Sapamla in again for the 4th ball of his over. He's 1 for 25. And again, forcing the play off Fernando. I mean, Fernando didn't actually need to play that. He could have just tucked his bat inside the line, but he's being drawn into the shots.
What's the old saying, gentlemen? catches win.
Matches. Always.
There we
Yeah.
go. That's
Dave Midgley's told us that Steve Buckner was 6'3", which is
still pretty tall.
quite tall.
That's pretty tall. I
But
mean,
I'd say Edwin Holstock looks about the same height.
Well, Ambrose will overshadow 6'3" any day of the week. I think he was sitting just under 7 feet himself.
Yeah, no, he was an insanely tall man. All legs and arms as well. Sapamla full, and he nearly got an edge to De Kock there, just flashing at it outside the off stump. Goes through to the keeper, no run. Sri Lanka 149 for 8.
And then, Muhammad Afan was 7'1", which is just otherworldly tall. That's taller than anyone you see in real life.
Yeah, that's pretty big. I think Joel Garner was about that height, isn't it?
I don't think he was 7 foot. I mean, Muhammad Afan was by far the tallest international cricketer. But there's supposed to be a 7'6" 18-year-old playing. He's got a contract with one of the Pakistan domestic sides. But I think it's publicity more than anything. He's just very tall.
I think you're right. Yeah, he's an off spinner as well, which ruins it slightly. Last ball of the over, this time outside the off stump and left alone by Fernando, which he probably should have done for the previous two. That's the end of the over. Sri Lanka 149 for 8.
The Suleiman Ben school of spin bowling then. Just very tall, but for nothing.
Oh, shame. No, that's unlucky. Oh, dear. I was going to say, can you imagine a bouncer from the likes of a 7'6"er? But that's incredible.
I suspect your sweet spot as a fast bowler is probably around 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
I think taller than that, you need real talent to be able to use your height properly.
Right.
And the very, very best fast bowlers in the world, I mean, guys like Dale Steyn
it's about 5'10".
Are tall in the general population sense, but not tall amongst their brethren. Did you guys watch Kyle Jamieson bowl this morning?
I saw that he picked up 5 there.
Yeah, absolutely unplayable to the left-hander. Hell, he bowled well. It's right in the slot, and Chamira swings through it. It loops up, actually more like a 9-iron than anything else, and pitches about 2/3 of the way to the boundary. So Pamela not able to get back and collect it, and they go through for 2. That brings up the 150 for Sri Lanka, 151 for 8. Chamira is there on 22, and Fernando there without having opened his account yet. The bowler is not here. He's on 4 for 52 at the moment. He's been quite expensive, going for 4 runs and over.
Jingle.
Yeah, we should almost. we will figure out a way to get the jingles back here eventually.
Awesome.
Nordkeer turning at the top of his run-up and through right arm around and into the ribs of Chamira, where he fends it towards a diving Temba Bavuma under the lid. But it pitches well before Bavuma, so certainly the ball following Temba at the moment.
We have some more tweets.
Go ahead.
David Midgley, 6 slips and still a drop catch. No worries of catching COVID-19 there. Ooh.
Yeah, you see the problem once you've got 6 slips, you've got at least 2 guys who never ever field in the slips there, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. But Temba Bavuma is one of the most reliable fielders. I would have always backed him to take a catch.
A shorter ball, and he has a swipe at it. It takes the top edge, just loops through to Quinton de Kock. I said earlier that there's no easy catches behind the wicket, but honestly, that's probably about as easy as it's going to ever get. He takes it with fingers pointing up above his shoulders in the gloves. That is the end of Chamira for 22, and that is 5 for Anrich Nokia. 5 for 52.
Well bowled, Anrich. Well bowled.
Yeah, he really has bent his back today, and he looked particularly dangerous against the left-handers.
Colleagues, when is the last time we've seen a 5 from a South African bowler?
From any bowler, I'll have a look. I mean, Nokia, I'll get the full list.
Yeah, so Chris is on it. We have another tweet here from David Midgley. Sipamla is finally among the wickets, even with the second use of DRS. Caught the cock, bowled Sipamla. Hasaranga gone for 29. That's, of course, a little bit outdated. And we've also got one from Mpo, quoting Andrew Sampson, I believe a friend of Simon's as well. K. Pereira out for 60 today at 71 for 1. The lowest team total that a batsman who has made 60 plus, has been dismissed in Test cricket. Previous figure was 74 by Johnny Tedsley, 62 versus England versus Australia in Melbourne in 1904.
So what the stat was, the
lowest score
the team
at
had
which
something
someone
in
scored
70.
a 60. It's the lowest score at which a batsman's been dismissed with 60. Lowest overall score, because the whole team.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
That's
okay.
Overall score. That's right.
When he got 60.
Okay, sorry, it took me a while there. We have another debutant to the crease, Asita Fernando, a rather hirsute-looking 23-year-old, and we're going to persist with the right arm around the wicket, but he gets his line all wrong, and it's well down the leg side. Would have been called a wide in most club cricket, but Adrian Holstock is following Test match rules here. But there are two leg fielders, one Temba Bavuma under the helmet, and then there's a short mid-wicket as well. So they're acting like they know something about Asita Fernando that maybe even Asita doesn't know. I see there's a leg gully as well, or a leg slip for Fernando. So I wonder where they've seen footage of this guy play before. A rising ball outside the off stump, and Fernando tried to run it off the face of his bat straight to Quinton de Kock, but missed it. No run, 151 for 9.
So Anrik Nortje was also the last bowler to take a 5 when he took 5 for 110 against England at the Wanderers.
Okay.
In that same game, Bjorn Hendricks also took a 5 for 64.
It was a full year since then.
And we've just about never heard of Bjorn Hendricks ever again, didn't we?
I mean, he's part of the squad as I guess the left arm option, but
for
didn't get a go.
On the leg side as Nortje again comes in and peppers Fernando from around the wicket. I would say probably just about an unfair line to a number 11 batsman, particularly on his debut. But I don't know, those niceties seem to have gone out of the game somewhat in the last few years as general batting has got better.
But do you think the selectors missed a trick or two by not selecting Bjorn Hendricks for the game today?
I don't. I think these are the young core that you sort of want to keep together and get experience. Bjorn Hendricks, I think he's 30 years old now, and no one did anything wrong in the last game to not be included for this game.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that is the right attitude from the South African selectors. It's Sapamla to start his next over to Vishwa Fernando, and a wild swipe outside the off stump goes through to Quinton de Kock and no run.
I don't know. This is the old cricket captain in me, but and yes, before you, we won't go through my resume quite as yet, but. I have to say, though, that normally when we used to do selection, we would base it on how familiar one was with local conditions. And I don't know, Bjorn for me struck me as the guy I would automatically pick for the Wanderers Test because he's had great accolades there in recent times as well. Let's not forget for the series.
Full ball and defended straight down back past the bowler. They're going to get 2 runs. And Sri Lanka go to 153 for 9, and one of the batsmen, Vishwa Fernando, gets off the mark. He's now on 2. Yes and no. I think the difference in conditions between the Centurion and the Wanderers is not appreciable enough to warrant a change in selection.
And it's also Mulder and Sapamla's home ground.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to take one of Nortje or Ngidi out for Hendricks.
Exactly. So he comes in again with his 6 slips, but too wide outside the off stump and easy to leave that alone. Even I could have safely navigated that one, I think.
That's a good point. How many Lions players are we seeing in the team at the moment? You got Rassie, you got Bavuma, Mulder, as mentioned before, as well as Sapamla. So it's 4 Lions guys. Yeah.
Harks back to the glory days where basically the South African team was all of the Transvaal team with without the 2 foreign players, and then they would just ask for volunteers who wanted to fill those 2 slots.
I was going to say Western Province because
Yeah, you and I showing our different generations there. He has a bit of a flash in it. No run, 153 for 9.
Well,
Yeah,
when
it
I
was.
started watching, so you had Gary, you had Herschel, you had Jacques Callis, obviously. And at one point there was even Brett Schultz in the mix as well. So you had a lot of province guys.
Yeah, Graham Smith, of course, was a province player at the time. I mean, he grew up here on the Reef, but then went down there. There was a period where Western Province bought up just about every decent player in the country, and it seemed to be the Proteas WhatsApp group was sort of encouraging guys to move down to Cape Town. So Pamela in again, full one on the off stump and defended well by Fernando, no run.
But
now if you ask Ashwell Prince, he seems to think it's the other way around.
Yeah, it looks like it's the other way around, to be honest with you. We've lost a lot of quality semi-pro cricketers to franchises from the Cape to the northern provinces, I should say.
But also the other way around, in that, Ashwell Prince doesn't think that Cobras players have been given their fair go, that they're often overlooked.
Who specifically is he saying is not getting a chance?
I think he was talking about Kyle Varane.
Okay.
About a year ago.
I mean, you've got such a problem there because he's a keeper for Province, isn't he? And so what is he going to replace Quinton de Kock? Of course he isn't. And every single country in the world has a test match quality keeper who never ever plays international cricket because of the nature of keepers. They get into their spot and stay there for a minimum of 3 or 4 seasons. And so it's a very very thankless position to have.
I will take the role of devil's advocate, and I know this was discussed before, but Quinny having the captaincy, taking the gloves on top of that, as well as coming in quite high up the order now, it can be quite overwhelming. My stance is that I would have preferred de Kock to be out there in the infield to at least engage with everyone, because it seems he's only talking to the slip coordinator at this point in time.
The batsman just steps away, Fernando, and gives himself plenty of room. Well, it was a classic number 11 shot. Stepped away, slashed hard, and it flew high over the slip cordon, a couple of bounces, and away to 4. An absolute textbook number 11 boundary. I'm not convinced by having. I don't think de Kock is a good enough captain to warrant taking the gloves away from him.
And from what we've heard, the captaincy short term as well. He's only he's sort of interim captain.
Which got me thinking: who would you give the captaincy to after de Kock? Similar sort of a ball, a similar attempt at a shot, but this time he misses it, goes through to the keeper, no run, 157 for 9.
I think the common thought there. I was just going to say, I think the common thought there is it's sort of who's able to cement themselves in the side permanently between Bavuma and Markram. If either of them show that they are going to be in the side for the next couple of years, they're probably going to be the next captain.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. There was a small part of me that was wondering about it this morning and wondering whether Vian Mulder wouldn't be a possibility.
I guess he'd have to prove himself as well as a
full ball
very young
in the block hole, and that goes straight through Anita Fernando. Bowls him middle stump. I think possibly even breaks that stump. It's the expensive one with all of the wires coming out of it. And that is the end of the Sri Lankan innings. And Heinrich Nortje gets, I'm sure, his first ever sixfer for South Africa. Sri Lanka all out for 157. Right at the end there, Temba Bavuma going and taking his stance in front of the shattered stumps, doing a little bit of mental preparation, which I'm sure must be incredibly bad luck to take your stance in front of broken stumps. But let's hope that that's not a foreboding of things to come. Would one of you guys like to just take us through the scorecard and let us know your thoughts?
Yeah. I can do that. I was also just going to ask if you can guess the last South African to take 6 wickets in an innings. I think it's now a dirty word.
So what's that about it being a dirty word? So it's not going to be KG Rabada.
No. It was Dwan Olivier against Pakistan in 2018.
Oh my goodness! Of course, yes, yeah. In that amazing. Just a shot of Veerman Mulder as he walked off there, limping quite badly, and I'm worried that maybe he hasn't got that niggle in his ankle, not more than we realize. It's a really dreadful
hopefully our top order gives him a chance to rest and just bats out the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think we're going to Veerman Mulder is going to be one of those guys who is going to be on again, off again for a few years, and then eventually have to call it quits because of injuries. It's
He's
really
22. Surely we've got time too.
Really got time.
But he's been almost perpetually injured as long as he's been playing professional cricket.
Now, there's clearly some issues there. There's no question about that. That would probably need to be assessed more formally. But I think he's got time. I think that you had guys like Chandapal, for example, who always had ankle issues. And it turned out that after a proper cross-section, they were able to pick up there was a loose bone in his heel. And that actually prevented him from running the wicket and what have you. So I think within time we'll be able to know what these niggles are actually attributed to. We also have some tweets here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You go first.
Okay, it was just the scorecard. Whether we want scorecard or tweets first. I'll do the scorecard quickly. Nokia ruined the run of catches we had going. The first 9 wickets were all catches, and then he finished it with a bold of Asita Fernando. But Karan Ratner, the captain, managed a very circumspect 2 of 32 deliveries before being caught behind off Nokia. Kusal Pereira batted very quickly, 60 runs off 67 deliveries, top run scorer, caught marker and bowled Mulder. Tiramani, who's back in the side as an injury replacement, scored 17 of 30, caught Faf, bowled Mulder. Kusal Mendes got a 4-ball duck, caught Rassie van der Dussen, bowled Mulder. Banuka on debut didn't get too many, just 5 runs off 10 deliveries before falling to Anand Nokia, caught Rassie van der Dussen. Darshan Dikwala caught behind off Nokia for 7. Dasan Chanaka caught behind off Nokia for 4. Then we got Hasaranga scoring quite a few runs quite quickly, 29 of 27, before being caught behind off Sapamla. Chamira scored 22 of 29, caught behind off Nokia. And then, Vishwa Fernando is unbeaten at the end, 2 of 11. And Asita Fernando on debut, bowled by Nokia for 4. So in the end, they managed to get 157 runs in 40.3 overs. Nokia, the pick of the bowlers, with 6. Mulder got 6 for 56. Mulder got 3 for 25. Sapamla 1 for 27. And Ngidi 44 runs, no wickets. Tweets.
Yeah, so we've got quite a few. Where is this thing? Let's just do this.
So let me just tell you in the interim that if you are watching us on YouTube, you should now be able to see the scorecard on our feed. Although even as I say that, it's now doesn't appear to be working. It's working on our one setup without working on the other. So who knows? Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, no problem. So done him and shattered the stumps. This from David Midgley, wrapping up the Sri Lankan innings for 157. Follow every ball on 1WSR.com using the hashtag SA versus SL at Gorilla SA. What to say, man? Mulder and Nortje haven't left him any wickets to take. Ridiculous criticism, in my honest opinion. I would have dropped Nortje or Sapamla for this test if Rabada was fit. Today, Lungi bowled 3 maidens at the openers and was then taken to the cleaners, hit by a rampant Pereira. Context. CS Shizwana, people are always looking for a reason to complain. This in response to our own Impo Moreke, who said South Africans are impatient when it comes to this cricket team. Now Ngidi is a man about to be burnt at the stake, with people questioning whether he's cut out for Test cricket at Gorilla SA. And lastly, from Otto Simon, pity we can't ask Sri Lanka to follow on with all the injuries and the lack of preparation. Should Sri Lanka be excused for this batting display? Can their bowlers match the SA attack? That's a very good question there from Otto.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're missing a few guys, and South Africa really showed a team possibly back in form in a big way the last time the last week when we played them. So hopefully, I think South Africa will now really be able to bat Sri Lanka out of the game.
And we got some tweets here addressed at you specifically, Simon. Get ready, brace yourself. I think Simon this is from Josie Oak, sorry. I think Simon is being harsh on Mulder. Oz had 3 fast bowlers who were injured a lot at first, but then came good. Okay.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't want him to, I want him in the team, absolutely. I'm not being harsh against the man, but
observation.
I do really worry when you see a guy who hasn't. I don't think has he been able to have a full complete season since he came in.
All.
Yeah, I'm struggling. Guys, I'm going to just leave you to chat for a little bit while I try and sort out the stream here. We've just got a bit of an issue with trying to get our scorecard up and running.
No problem. All right,
No, I'm here. I was just getting a glass of water. The point that lots of players have faced injuries at the beginning of their careers. If we think Pat Cummins made his debut and then didn't play another game for Australia for about 5 years, and now he's probably the best bowler in the world, at least top 3 across formats, without real injury worries. Yeah, Mulder's only 22 years old. Lots of time for him to figure out his body and what works for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, I mean, hopefully it's not as bad as we think it may be, because even if it is an injury, we only got Pakistan, I think, at the end of January. So we still got a little bit of time until Cricket South Africa figures out selection for that specific series. So, Chris, I mean, while you and I are on the line, we could talk about a couple of things such as pizza and cricket. Maybe
right.
maybe we could just to get gather your thoughts on this one. I mean, what do you think is going through Aiden Markram's and Dean Elgar's mind right now as they prepare to get back onto the wicket?
I think both of them obviously played well in the last game, but maybe lost their head slightly and fell before the milestones that they were looking for. So I guess that once they get starts, the main focus will be not throwing it away in a similar way as last game.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, I don't know why, but something tells me that Aiden Markram's going to come off on top in this particular match. Undoubtedly, so the same would apply to Dean Elgar. One of them is.
But I feel like that. I feel like that at the beginning of almost every South African innings. It seems to have no bearing on how they actually bat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though they've got a bit of a patchy record together, they are still a strong opening partnership that seems to fill me with confidence. I feel pretty good hearing that Elgar and Markram opening the bats, and it does make me feel safe, even with a limited record behind that.
So I have to ask you, is that the 2015 rugby jersey, England rugby jersey, or was it 2011?
2011. Yeah, it's old. It tells you that I was quite a big grade 8.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah, no, I've been a rugby fan since I can remember. I was 11 years old, proud Western Province supporter as well. But yeah, good times. I'm really excited for this specific test match. I for one hope. I for one hope that it's Themba Bavuma's sort of continuance, I should say, in the great form that he's been in so far.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
No, thank you, Simon.
Oh, flip! Could you guys hear all of that?
Yeah. So how many pizzas are you ordering for us, Simon?
Well, considering that I was supposed to be on mute, and I certainly was for a while. Who knows? Yeah, so we've now got the scorecard on our YouTube feed, which is always a step in the right direction. And I've got a huge. This is the problem.
And we don't change the background picture, do we? Because I know it's the Wanderers now. Is that just coincidence, or do we change the ground in the photograph based on the game?
Looks like a different image from last week. Yeah. Last week was Supersport Park, I believe. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we are the Premier League status right now. We're right up there.
That
Sorry,
is
Simon,
what
you're on
the
mute,
Sri Lankan domestic first class competition is also called the Premier League.
Oh,
we
wow.
are finally back for a little bit of live cricket.
mate.
It's going to be Vishwa Fernando
Hmm.
opening the bowling from the caller drive in.
But Otto actually raised a valid point. Should we be unsympathetic towards Sri Lanka? Should we be more sympathetic? In my view, they just came from the Lanka Premier League. So they only played, I think Mickey Arthur attested to this a couple of weeks ago. They've only played white ball cricket.
They've got a lot of
They've
got a lot of built-in excuses. There's that. They're touring South Africa, which is never easy, and they've just been plagued by injuries even before the series began. As the very first delivery of the second innings is just guided off the pads of Dean Elgar into the onside boundary for 4. So one delivery down, 4 runs on the board.
I am indeed back, so you should be able to hear me now, I'm hoping. Chris, can I just ask you to check your microphone connection? It sounds very much like you've got a loose connection, a loose wire.
All I can do is it's a Bluetooth earphone, and I think it tries to filter out the sound when cars go past, which means sometimes my voice will be a little bit quieter, but I can do that. I can talk loudly. I can try to focus all the energy into the mic.
That didn't help at all. It's still coming and going. it's literally every 5 seconds, so we need to make a plan there. But okay, we'll Okay. Anyway, South Africa now have progressed to 4 runs without loss. Elgar taking 2 off that second, the second ball of that over as well. It is Vishwa Fernando bowling left arm over the wickets to the left-handed Dean Elgar, who just tucks that around the corner down to the backward square leg, and they go through for a single 5 without loss.
That's bread and butter for Dean Elgar, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, I'm alluding to the boundary a couple balls prior to that. That's bread and butter. You don't stray down the leg side to anybody other than you shouldn't stray down the leg side to Dean Elgar or any batsman for that matter, but he will certainly conquer you, get on top of you if you stray down the leg side. That's for sure.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great start for Fernando at all. You want you certainly want your opening batsman to be playing outside the off stump those first couple of balls, as he now is going to be playing bowling to the right-handed Markram and just angling it across him. He lets it go through and no run. Aerial shot of the Wanderers here, a very, very impressive array of solar panels around the roof of the Wanderers, I'm assuming on that north-facing stand.
So Sky Sports just tweeted, the England Test squad, as we know, have arrived in Sri Lanka. They're expected to play them in less than a week or two's time. They're all tested negative for COVID-19 after landing in Sri Lanka ahead of the series. The team will isolate in an individual hotel in Hambantota until Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, well that's good news. Everyone's
bad news for Sri Lanka. Bad news for Sri Lanka, I think, in the current situation, considering the current status.
Indeed.
Good to have all the negative COVID tests, especially the state that the UK is in at the moment.
So we have some tweets here, gentlemen, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
Ravi, the heavy roller already, I believe he's a nice guy. He says here, come on at Chris Tyndale, hook us up. And there's a gif of a juicy 42 centimeter pizza. And
final
I don't know what he's on about.
Final ball of the over, left outside the off stump by Elgar. Elgar's on 5, Markram's on 1, and South Africa 6 without loss.
Arthur Seaman, Gorilla SA, what should be going through all the batters for Protea Fire now is a double ton. SA versus SL. David Midgley at Simon Gear. I'm ordering pizza for Gorilla SA. What are your orders? Follow it live as it happens with Ravi Reddy, Chris Tyndale, Simon Gear, and the 1WSR team.
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly more difficult to order pizza than it normally is for our team, now that we're all sitting in disparate parts of the country. Are you even in Joburg, Ravi?
I'm in Cape Town at the moment.
You're in Cape Town?
So I could actually
But
pay
not
Chris's employer a visit later today.
My former employer, I had my last shift last week.
Your
'cause
former
I'm heading to
employer?
Durban. Yeah. It's not that I was
So are you-
fired. It's just I'm not going to be living in Cape Town this year.
Okay. Are you moving into a new role there, Chris?
I don't have a new job lined up, but I do have a new city. So yeah, back to Joburg. Can't make that journey every day just to serve pizzas for a couple of hours.
Oh well, congratulations to you, and we wish you well.
Thanks. Yeah. As we see the other Fernando coming into attack, the Sita Fernando on debut.
So he'll be bowling his first ball in international cricket. Stocky fast bowler, right arm over the wicket to the right-handed Markram, and he's bang on the money right from the gun, forcing a defense off the back foot from Markram.
So David Midgley again, he asked, what would we consider as an ideal target for South Africa by T? Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, not a lot of time to go until T. We'll probably only get, 5 or 6 overs before T?
Yeah, probably around about there.
So I guess as long as we don't lose a wicket, good going. Whether we have 20, 30, 40, as long as the second digits is 0.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it's one of those where you can really only lose out here, can't you? Sorry,
So what do you think?
Yeah, Karen?
Sorry, I was just going to ask, what do you think Mickey Arthur's post-inning speech was like to the Sri Lankans? Do you think it was a bit of a tongue lashing or a bit of a pep talk of sorts?
I think after coaching Pakistan for a while, he might be done with the tongue lashings and just learn to accept that sometimes it happens in cricket.
Again, defended by Markram and no runs. Been a good start to his test career here by Asita Fernando, getting good encouragement from some of his Sri Lankan teammates. And he'll be pleased with the way this has gone. Markram, a cautious start, I think, very, very aware that he probably only has a few overs to survive, and there really is no reason to do anything other than just make sure that you have a reason to come back out after tea.
Must be quite an exercise to coach Pakistan. You basically got both extremes. Either they play very well or they play very badly.
Yeah, I mean, they won the Champions Trophy under Mickey Arthur, but...
Yeah, I mean, I know that he seemed to have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the Pakistan management, for sure. That they didn't like the fact that he sometimes went public with the idea that he had given the team a bit of a rocket. But certainly there seemed to be quite a lot of affection in which he was held by the players themselves. Right arm over. This one is too straight and just tucked off his hips by Markram down to a quite square fine leg. They go through for a single, 7 without loss. Markram's on 2, and Elgar is there on 5.
One thing I like about Mickey Arthur, though, is that he's the kind of guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a what you see is what you get kind of guy. And you could actually see in the first test when there was a plethora of injuries in the Sri Lankan camp, you could see the growing frustration in his face. He was absolutely livid. And the challenge with that is you can't really take it out on anyone. You know, it's just one of those things. It just happened, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those situations where, unless the injuries are because of poor preparation, there's really no one to blame. It's just one of those things. The end of this second over, rather, defended into the offside by the left-handed Dean Elgar. Have we got one more ball to come?
That was the last one.
That was the last ball. Yeah, that's right. So 2 overs gone. South Africa 7 without loss. About 15 minutes to go till tea. And South Africa, Sri Lanka will be desperate to sneak a wicket here between here and tea. They can find one somewhere, but so far the South African batsmen have looked very, very solid indeed.
Who was it that we got out just before lunch? It was literally the last ball before lunch. I can't remember, Chris. Do you recall?
It was the debutants.
Banuka.
Yeah. I mean, a ball that he absolutely should have left well alone, and he knew he had screwed up.
Yeah. Because that wasn't, look, in all due respect to Henrik Nortje, I mean, it was a decent delivery, but it wasn't by any means unplayable, I would say, at this level of the game. That's the kind of ball that you leave. The last ball of before a session.
Yeah, no, it was just it was inexperience as much as anything else. I think he had played the ball before, which he really shouldn't have done. And then I think you've got overconfidence and believed that it was possible to do that again. This most recent ball just defended full face of the bat, textbook stuff by Markram, and no run. Vishwa Fernando bowling left arm over the wicket to the right-handed Markram, angling it across him, and again just defended. Markram looking so solid, and really I think hoping to set out his stall somewhat. Yeah.
There are only 2 batsmen in the world I would trust in a situation like that to play any shot under the sun, and that's Sachin Tendulkar, of course, and Ricky Ponting, funnily enough. He's the kind of guy to get to his 100, you'll take a quick single in an impossible situation. Call it a psychological advantage, if you will.
So I saw a brilliant stat the other day, which I'll tell you about just after this ball left alone outside the off stump. Sachin Tendulkar bowled more balls in Test match cricket than Mitchell Johnson.
That's believable. Yeah, that is believable. That's a 22-year career. So, and he's got over 100 Test wickets. Is that right? Or about 80 Test wickets, I think.
Has he got that many? Really? I hadn't realized that. I mean, I do remember him bowling a reasonable amount in his early years, but never realized he had bowled anywhere like the amount that he had. I'd always thought of him as a sort of bits and pieces type occasional bowler. Fernando in again, and it just dropped into the offside by Markram, and they scampered through for a single. Excellent cricket there, just rotating the strike.
I apologize. Sorry, I got that wrong completely. So, Test, Sachin Tendulkar in Test, he's got 46 Test wickets.
Okay.
But 200 wickets overall in his international career, with 154 in one-day internationals.
It's quite possible that the stat I saw was total international balls rather than Test match balls.
I think that even that Are you sure it was Mitchell Johnson? Because I'm looking at the balls bowled by both across four. I mean, he's bowled more ODI deliveries than Mitchell Johnson, but overall, Mitchell Johnson wins, and in tests, Mitchell Johnson wins. But in ODIs,
the balls were about 8,000. So maybe it was ODI balls. Okay, I must learn to check my stats before.
So to give the audience an idea, Sachin Tendulkar, this is how long he played cricket for: 200 Test matches and 463 one-day internationals, spanning over.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's over. What's it? 14, 15 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Sheesh. That is incredible. Yeah. I mean, he was an absolute fixture right the way through. I got into an interesting argument on I think Reddit about Tendulkar versus Kohli. It's always fun to rattle the Indian cages on Reddit, as Vishwa left arm over, and a very, very similar sort of opportunity, this time by Elgar, just dropping it into the offside. It was quite a bit closer though, and the cover came flying in to try and affect the run out, but they weren't able to. They go through for a single. South Africa 9 without loss. This is obviously the plan between these two to try and rotate the strike. So we're talking about who was the greatest, Tendulkar or Kohli, and I always felt watching Tendulkar, particularly Tendulkar in South Africa, that he looked very low energy. And I mean, indisputably a good player, but had a slightly disinterested air about him. And there wasn't the sort of excitement of him being able to make things happen in the crease. And I think at that time, just about right the way through his career, India got an absolute hiding every time they came to South Africa. And I think he was the only guy who was ever getting into triple figures. And so, he was under that sort of pressure. Whereas Kohli, completely different energy at the crease. A shorter ball by Asita Fernando for the first ball of this over and just tucking Elgar up somewhat. I don't know. Would you guys agree with that?
I would respectfully disagree with that. I'll tell you why. I remember going to Newlands where it was basically, it wasn't even, you could forget about the other players other than Kallis and Tendulkar. It was basically the Jacques Kallis, Sachin Tendulkar show at Newlands. Because Kallis scored back-to-back hundreds, and in between those hundreds, Tendulkar scored 100 as well. So for me, that was probably the most fighting. I would say that was probably the best fighting spirit I've seen from the Indian cricket team touring South Africa.
Shorter ball by Asita Fernando, and that is just pulled away in front of square by Dean Elgar, away to the boundary. South Africa 13 without loss. Absolutely superb. Very, very in control shot there.
Bread and butter for Dean Elgar. One has to say.
And he really threw the kitchen sink at that as well. He hit it very, very hard. And I think there is a degree of intent from these South African openers here that they enjoyed batting at 4 runs and over in Centurion, or they're probably close to 5 runs and over at Centurion, didn't they?
Absolutely.
But better ball by Fernando going for the Yorker, and he Elgar trying to just tuck it into the onside, got a leading edge, squirted away to point, no run.
But coming back to India, I remember, and you'll probably remember this as well, Simon. Back in 1996, when India toured South Africa, they were steamrolled by the South African bowlers at the time. We saw Alan Donald. He was literally bouncing the likes of VVS Laxman. I think he was making Saurav Ganguly, Dravid. They were all
from Fernando, and just turned around the corner once again by Elgar, very in control of that shot. He hits yet another 4. South Africa goes to 17 without loss, and Elgar to 14 off 11 balls. Carry on.
Yeah, no, they absolutely. And I remember the first test, and I think it may have very well been in Centurion. India were bowled off for 100, and the second innings were bowled off for 66. So they were literally rattled by the South African quicks at the time. I mean, you had a young Sean Pollock, to give the audience an idea. You had a young Sean Pollock. You had a debutant Lance Klusner in the mix as well. You had Brian McMillan, who was pretty much seeing the end of his career at that point. All of them were bowling very short, very aggressive spells, making the Indian batsmen uncomfortable. And I think that sort of set a precedent for the Indian visitors that followed to come back and actually bring a fight.
Fernando plays another short ball to Dean Elgar, not quite as short as the previous ones, and Elgar can just tuck it off his hips, and they jog through for a single. Not quite sure why he's trying to play the shorter ball to Elgar, because Elgar seems very much in control of it. Maybe this was some sort of a plan that will be readjusted during the tea break.
Would you guys bowl short to Verinder Sehwag?
Look, I mean, that mid-90s South African team was phenomenal. And it was at a time when South Africa and Australia stood head and shoulders above every other team in the world. And, and you know, to get beaten by anyone else was a very, very rare occasion. It was really the only the Aussies we ever lost to. Right arm over the wicket, swinging away, left alone by Markram, and that I think is going to be the end of that over. South Africa 18 without loss. He's bowling at 141 k's an hour, is Asita Fernando, so he's no slouch, but he's not looking at this stage like troubling the batsman at all.
You did mention Sehwag. I've got one interesting Verinder Sehwag stat, is that of any batsman to face more than 10 free hits, Verinder Sehwag has the lowest batting strike rate. He has a strike rate of about 80 against free hits, which just doesn't make sense no interviewing.
Whoa, that is surprising. That's surprising. I would never have expected that.
Very much apple and oranges, but you were talking about how many matches Sachin Tendulkar's played. And yeah, you have to go back over 100 years, but Wilfred Rhodes only played 58 tests. But do you know how many first-class games he played?
How many?
1,110 first-class games.
Sure.
Insane.
And then you look at just all of his numbers are mind-boggling. 39,000 runs. How many wickets? Just an impossible amount.
Sorry, who was the player?
Wilfred Rhodes, a Yorkshire cricketer from about 100 years ago.
Can I guess no wickets at all?
No, you can guess that, but you're quite a way off.
About 400 wickets.
4,204 wickets.
What?
Good grief.
What, did they play like 3 first-class games a week or something?
I mean, he had a career of 31 years, so he was playing about 30 first-class games a year for 30 years.
That's
and I mean,
crazy.
this was in an amateur era. He must have his parents must have done jolly well. This is probably going to be the last over before tea. Just before this over, Kagiso Rabada came onto the field with new gloves and new bats, and obviously just with an instruction to the bowlers, to the batsmen. Surely you don't need to send an instruction to your opening test pair.
And they won't take it seriously if Kagiso Rabada giving it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, I mean, what could he possibly have told them that they don't already have figured out for themselves? Unless we see them now try to take the over for 36, which would be interesting.
Asking what kind of tea they want.
Yeah, left arm over the wicket and just again pulled by Elgar. It's a punchy sort of shot. It runs away for 4 as well. I don't recall Elgar being particularly strong on his leg side like he has been this innings, but that's the third of 3 very, very good pull shots that he's played so far.
Bread and butter. You can't bowl like that. Bowl that short to Dean Elgar, especially when he's in the vein of form that he's in.
Basically, they're trying to bowl the same length that the South African bowlers bowled, but they are all 10 to 15 centimeters shorter and 10 kilometers an hour slower. And it's sitting up and begging to be hit by the left-handed Elgar, who now defends it into the offside and no run. South Africa 22 without loss. Elgar is 19 of 16 and Markram 3 of 12.
But yeah, that's all we need. Just hang around, put away the bad balls, and then we can try to take advantage of the base after tea.
I see that's Dean Elgar's 4,000th run in Test cricket.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I think he needed, if he surpassed his 100, he would have got there last week, if I'm not mistaken. I think he just needed another 10. Left
alone outside the off stump, and depending on how quickly Adrian Holdstock walks back to his position at the end of this ball, we may or may not get another over before tea. But I think the South African opening pair, assuming they survive this last ball, will be very, very happy with the way things have gone since they came out to bat.
Do you think they sent KG down there just to sort of settle them or to tell them not to play any rash shots like I saw from the Sri Lanka camp?
Backward of a length, defended into the offside. The only thing I think they could possibly have done is send KG out there to delay it by a minute. Right. So to make sure that this was indeed the last over. I think it was pure gamesmanship. I can't for the life of me think what else KG could have been there to say. It wasn't. And to be honest, the umpires should have chased him off. There's no ways he should have been coming out. Right, well, that is tea indeed. South Africa 22 without loss. Tea on day 1. And so that will be the end of our session. Both of you guys, thank you very much for doing a double shift between lunch and tea. We really, really appreciate it.
Would you like to hear some tweets there, Simon?
Let's finish with some tweets.
Sure thing. So we've got a few here from... Oh, boy, where did these tweets go now? Oh, there we go. All right. Armchair Cricket Podcast. Oh, dear. Sri Lanka seems to have wasted a decent start to subside to 157. They looked really comfortable at the 70-1 midway through the first session. They'll want to keep striking at regular intervals. Otto Simon, in response to Coach Dave and myself, doesn't matter without loss. Absolutely hate it from Gillian Price. Absolutely hate it every time this happens. This is in response to Impo's comment about Lungi and Gidi being slated by the South African cricket fans right now. David Midgley, positive cricket from these two, immediately looking to rotate the strike without any risk whatsoever. Intelligent cricket. And I think we've made lots of people hungry, even across continents, gentlemen. Holly Jolly Jessica in Australia saying, would you mind sending a pizza over to Australia for me? Getting a bit peckish at Gorilla SA.
Great, guys. Well, thanks very much. Okay.
And sorry, one more from David Midgley. I honestly think that an exception needs to be made to get the Guijo squad into the stadiums at Official Cricket South Africa, at SAFA, at SA Rugby, tweeting at Gorilla SA and at One World SR, hashtag SA versus SL.
Yeah, you see, the way that CSA works at the moment is they'll hear we want the Guijo squad and they'll send the PE band. All right, so we've lost Chris. Ravi, thank you very much for joining me as well, mate. Enjoy Cape Town. And
thank you very much,
I'm sure we will chat later on in the week, hopefully. You stay well.
You too, sir. All the best.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
If you are listening to us on YouTube, it'll go on to one of the archived videos there. If you're listening to us on 1WSR, we will return to the South African woman playing Pakistan woman recorded back in 2019. We'll be back in about 15 minutes.